The NBA is a star-driven league, and obviously what comes with that is a level of coverage that tends to mostly focus on the guys at the top. The big names are the drivers of conversation and debate throughout the space, and they're the ones the fans pay the most attention to, so naturally, they're the ones that get the most hype. However, with that being said, there are always quite a few impressive performers that fly below the radar each season. Then that's what I'm here to discuss today. In today's video, we'll be discussing 5 slept-on NBA players that are having pretty great seasons, while very few people are seeming to notice. Before we start though, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel, as all support is very much appreciated. Now with that being said, let's begin. The first slept-on player having a pretty damn good season in 2023 that we'll be discussing today is Shai Gilgeous-Alexander of the Oklahoma City Thunder. Of course, Shai is probably the biggest name that will be on the list today because he is a player that most know as a borderline all-star talent, but I don't think many realize just how incredible the performances that Shai has been putting up this year have been. We've seen some unbelievable scoring performances this year as a whole, and the overall output in terms of scoring this year is way up compared to previous seasons, but in the midst of all of that, Shai has actually been amongst the league leaders in the entire NBA in points per game. He currently ranks tied for 4th in points per game with Jason Tatum of the Boston Celtics, who most view as an MVP candidate, and the only 3 players scoring more per game than him are Luka Doncic, Joel Embiid, and Giannis Antetokounmpo, who are 3 of the best players in the entire NBA. Playing on the Oklahoma City Thunder definitely contributes to how underrated he has become because they're not a team playing on national television for the average fan to see, and their rebuilding has tuned a lot of people out to their situation as a whole. But this is the furthest thing from being a case of a player racking up empty numbers on a bad team. The Thunder may not look like a good roster on paper, but they compete very hard on a nightly basis and are actually winning more games than expected, being just a game back of the play-in tournament. Shai has become an elite playmaker who stays under control and gets to his spots with ease, and when the Thunder eventually do start winning games, the world will wake up to how good he actually is. The next slept-on player we'll be discussing today that is low-key having a great season is Jalen Brunson of the New York Knicks. Brunson experienced a pretty impressive coming-out party in the postseason last year when Luka Doncic was out for most of the first-round series against the Jazz, and in his place, Brunson exploded. It also happened to be a contract year for Brunson last year, so in the offseason, Brunson used that leverage to get himself a nice payday from New York, but by doing so, people questioned whether or not he would actually live up to the price tag, especially in a team coming off of a pretty disappointing season. Well, halfway through the year, Brunson has been silencing those critics, but the critics have seemed to stop caring, hence why he's on this list. Brunson is having far and away the best year of his career this year for a Knicks team that has bounced back very well as a result of it, and yet there still seems to be a weird stigma surrounding them that I can't quite put my finger on. The Knicks went from missing the playoffs and the play-in tournament last year to sitting comfortably in the playoff race in 6th place in the East, and Brunson's presence has been a big reason why. He's averaging 22 points a night, shooting the ball very efficiently, making 47% of his shots and 39% of his threes. He's dishing out about 6 assists a night, and the way he controls and orchestrates the offense has been something that the Knicks have desperately needed for a while. He should be getting legitimate all-star buzz in the East, but yet when you look at the current voting for the All-Star game, he's not even a top 10 vote getter at the guard position. The next slept-on player having a low-key great season this year is Jerami Grant of the Portland Trail Blazers. Jerami Grant is another player recently acquired by his current squad, and the change of scenery is doing him a ton of good. Grant's career trajectory has been interesting to monitor because he started off as a very raw prospect, developed into a reliable two-way role player on a playoff team, then he went to Detroit to prove that he could be a go-to scoring option, and now in Portland, he's putting it all together for a team with playoff aspirations. He looks very comfortable as a secondary scoring threat alongside Damian Lillard, as he's putting up about 22 points per game, and he's shooting the ball better than he ever has in his career, making 49% of his shots and 42% of his threes. He's another player who people would discredit because of his production coming on a lowly rebuilding team previously, but now he looks even better on a squad with actual expectations. The fact that he's worked hard to the point where his jumper is a legitimately dangerous tool at his disposal is massive, because he was always an effective slasher and finisher at the basket, and now that defenses have to respect him from the outside, he's leveling up as an overall scoring threat. He's going to be a free agent this summer and will likely be looking for a hefty payday, but based on how seamless of a fit he and the Blazers have been together, I think the team will definitely be looking to bring him back. The next slept-on player having a low-key great season this year is Franz Wagner of the Orlando Magic. Wagner, in general, is probably one of the most underrated players in the NBA as a whole, and it has been that way since the beginning of his rookie season last year. As a rookie, he was as good as anybody in the draft class, but he wasn't one of the big names, so he kind of fell to the wayside when it comes to recognition for his work. His production and consistency were as good as any rookie last season, but yet he finished in 5th place in the Rookie of the Year voting behind Scotty Barnes, Evan Mobley, Cade Cunningham, and Jalen Green. This year, he's taken a pretty notable step forward, and once again, I haven't heard a peep about it. On the season, Wagner is actually averaging just over 20 points per game, and he's shooting the ball even better than he did last year, making 49% of his shots. I understand that being in Orlando doesn't help much, and the fact that he's playing alongside the Rookie of the Year favorite this year, Paolo Banchero, will also steal some spotlight, but Wagner has probably been the team's best and most well-rounded player this year. He's not only a very reliable scorer, but he's also a good passer and has been used as a primary ball handler at times due to injuries to the team. He makes smart plays, and he plays hard on both ends. And finally, the last slept-on player we'll be discussing today who deserves more recognition is Bojan Bogdanovic of the Detroit Pistons. Bojan could legitimately land on lists like this most years of his career because he always quietly produces at an impressive level without getting any shine for it. Most recently, he had been used as a secondary scorer alongside Donovan Mitchell in Utah, but this year, the Pistons brought him in hoping to take a step forward with their young core. We all view the Pistons as a rebuilding team, but I don't think before the season the Pistons viewed themselves the same way, because they had the ambition to try to push for a play-in tournament appearance based on the moves that they made. Unfortunate injuries like losing Cade Cunningham for the season, along with the fact that their young core just wasn't quite ready for that leap yet, has kept them near the bottom of the standings, but Bojan is hooping for them. He's scoring a career-high 21 points per game, he's shooting the lights out, making 42% of his threes, and he's going to be a prime candidate to be moved at the trade deadline. Right now he's doing well helping guide the young Pistons guys, both on and off the court, without getting in the way of their development, but realistically, he's not going to be a Piston for much longer, because there will be interest from competitive suitors. And with that being said though, that's all I have for you today. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and comment down below who you think is being slept on this season. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you all next time.